Hey guys, I'm Helga and I'm super excited to be part of this summer story series. Today I'm just going to be telling you a bit about my relationship with God and how I was moved to share His love with others. Basically just some major events in my life that really shaped my faith. Now, I've always grown up in a Christian family and I've been attending 10th since I was 2 years old. So 10 years, almost 11 now. I recently graduated from a Catholic school I've been attending for 7 years. So my entire life, I've always been surrounded by people of faith. I knew the popular Bible stories very well, and I memorized my verses like a good kid. Um, as much as it was a blessing to have so many Christians in my life, I never really understood that I had a role outside of that. And I think where my own faith really rooted was when I began at a school-age ministry, a 10th. It's like, it was where I got that first jackpot moment. It was during the summer. Basically, instead of our usual lessons, we followed a video curriculum called What's in the Bible, which was a series of lessons going through each book of the Bible with like little puppet characters and Phil Vischer, the creator of VeggieTales. To be completely honest, my first impression, half of the puppets were blue and orange. It was like a Christian Sid the Science Kid. And that's not just me. Everyone else thought that as well. So whenever the video played, we'd just like talk over it and throw popcorn at each other. Basically, typical third grade stuff. Once I got over the initial appearance of the characters, I started noticing that the series went much deeper than anything I had seen before. It was oddly satisfying. Like, it felt like it was a good use of my time. When I saw something I thought I had known my entire life turned into a way of living, not just a storybook, I wanted to know more. And maybe I first started paying attention so that I could spew out all my knowledge to my parents and friends and watch their faces furl up into confusion, since that somehow made me happy. But after a while, I was driven by this new kind of desire, and it's hard to describe, but I wanted to learn not because I was getting anything out of it, but because I knew where my faith would take me. I started finding a different side of the Bible that felt meaningful. And that was really when my relationship with God felt more personal rather than what my family believed or even how I thought I should believe. And ever since then, I think I started realizing how God has been working through my life, having other people to support me and driving me to serve Him and make an impact on those I care about. And fast forward to last summer, I was invited by a 10th children's ministry because of my volunteering in Creo to a barbecue, to like a potluck and fireworks evening. And a lot of you don't know this, but my two greatest fears are, number one, jump scares. Number two, loud cracking noises, aka fireworks. I don't know what made me decide to go, but I think in that moment, I believed the beauty of the fireworks would outweigh my absolute terror of it. Anyways, I brought along one of my longtime friends from my years doing rhythmic gymnastics. So in my head, I thought, well, 10th has a large community and many volunteers. Maybe it will be like a mini party with tables and tables of food, because that's a very deciding factor on the kind of parties I go to. When we arrived, let's just say, not many people came, a majority of which were adults. There were more like too many tables of food. And my friend and I kind of just ended up playing on like the one not roped off part of the beach because of the fireworks. And neither of us would admit it at the time, but we were thinking, yikes, we still had 3 hours to go. And let's just say 10 minutes after we were invited to play catch with a giant 5-foot-tall beach ball, we were laughing, rolling on the ground. We joked that the beach ball is the key to any successful outdoor evening. You know, if you had a 5-foot-tall beach ball, you were set to go. That wasn't actually true, because it was really the people at 10th that made my friend and I so comfortable. Later in the evening, she told me that she really liked the community and felt comfortable. Offhand, I would just like to say, I wasn't thinking of converting her or anything like that. But it showed that 10th isn't meant to be just for Christians or just a church. But it truly is the people, and I think that is what makes it so special. And so the evening ended with the fireworks, which were amazing. I kind of cried through the entire thing. But when my friend's dad drove us home, she was telling him all the fun we had. Then we kind of got into their church background, how they were regulars, but after moving houses, it kind of petered off. At some point, with her permission, I made a list of reasons why she should attend 10th. She lived nearby. She already knew people going there. She felt very comfortable with the community. And we both concluded that the odds were in her favor. So if she chose to visit any time, she would be completely welcome. Again, I wasn't thinking of converting her, but the conversation did flow in that direction, and they did seem open to it. That gave me a little glimmer of this is more than just a party kind of thing. That after they dropped me off at my house, we said goodbye, and that was kind of it. I never really gave it a second thought. And now, flash forward a few more months, I busied myself with other things. She had a rhythmic gymnastics back in session, and I sat down in another one of those, is it Creo Sundays? I have no idea what it's called, but it was one of those monthly meetings during the Sunday church service. And anyway, the hour flew by with a sudden explosion of conversation about cults and theories of revelation, just about the most confusing things you can discuss with a 12-year-old. Don't ask me how we got there. I probably can't give you an answer. But we were talking about how this awesome dragon and lake of fire stuff wouldn't happen unless we spread God's word to the ends of the earth. That part got me thinking. You know, I always imagine myself sitting on a cloud at the end of time, drinking an endless supply of rose lemonade that won't actually make me sick, because it's heaven, right? You can't get stomach aches in heaven. I never allowed myself to acknowledge that really we don't know what's going to happen. There is a chance we could be left with something much, much worse. And I didn't want that for anybody. I felt responsible. I knew God already. It was all a matter of how I used it. So I told my parents, like the little scraps of incomplete information I managed to kind of process. They just kind of stared at me while I rambled. Before the end of time, there's going to be like this Hitler and Napoleon person combined, and he or she is going to like take over the world for 3 God years, and people are going to die. And it was almost Donald Trump, but it isn't. And it's going to be kind of like the Left Behind movie where the world is at war, but not really. And I want to bring people to church. Also, Tom Cruise is in a cult. Did you know that? It was amazing they could follow along. I said that I wanted to bring that one friend to just a regular Sunday service and see what happens, because I wanted to at least try. They couldn't really argue with me, so yeah, I guess we were doing it. In the end, she spent a few weeks with me just volunteering at the preschool ministry before the pandemic hit, and we stopped attending church in person. Going into quarantine, I was a bit disappointed. I had to put a pause on the entire initiative and just find God in isolation. Usually among the hustle and bustle and stress of life, there are times where I will really, really need Him before something big, where I just hold on to something I believe in and be like, please just let me survive this. With quarantine, where I didn't really have that, it required me to voluntarily look for Him and notice His presence all the time. Not just moments before where I think I'm gonna die. In a way, this pandemic has taught me to recognize God as a whole, not just what He does, if that makes sense. And I think that is where I am right now. I don't know how I'm doing, honestly. Faith is not always linear, but that's why it requires trust. And I don't want to say that I've only lived 12 years of my life, because 12 years is valuable, but I am still very much on that journey trying to figure out who I am and what God makes me, and that is completely okay. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this is something you can relate to, or it helps you in some way. It was such a privilege to be able to share my story with you guys, and I'm wishing everybody an awesome summer, staying safe and healthy. God bless. Bye.